right, we got to keep this energy up and flowing. We got the new Clo 3D 2024 in the place to be. I'm back, people. This is the new interface, which I love, love, lovey, lovey, love, love. Okay, do you guys actually click on these tabs and read the information for what's coming out? I mean, some of you do, some of you don't. I suggest you do. When something is new and launched, there's a lot that goes into putting the information together, giving you guys detailed, explicit instructions on what to do. So I actually click on, okay, let's see more here. What are we doing? We're making sweaters now? Okay, this is fantastic. Along with the beautiful new interface, I just want to say, or I don't know if it's still a saying, but I want to give a good shout out, adapt, whatever, to whoever created the UI. Oh my God, it's so pretty. In my previous position, I got a lot into what goes into making the software behind the scenes, and this looks so beautiful, and I'm excited to be able to kind of see the progress in what's happening. So now we're going to learn how to make a sweater. So I'm just going to make a pattern, and we're going to see towards the end how many mistakes I'm making right now. So you guys know that this is not really a real pattern. I'm just making a little flounce, and I'm just positioning it just to try out the sweater knit. So do not hate on me in the comments, because this is not a real pattern making tutorial. But I will show you some key things about using the sweater technique, or the sweater, what do you call it? Oh my God, I'm at a loss. The sweater feature, I guess it's a feature, right? So using the sweater feature, there are a few things that you need to know about how sweaters are made. And this pattern right here that I am making very quickly for you while I explain what's going on, look how beautiful the interface is. Like the rounded edges, the bright blue. They changed that color blue, guys. I'm pretty sure they changed the color blue. But how everything kind of works together in the knit feature, it's a little interesting, but you have to know a few little details about how knit is actually made in order to get the best out of the visuals coming out of this knit feature. So I'm just making a little pattern. I'm just checking my sleeve, and I'm not sure if I want to make a cap, or if I actually do pull it down at the end. That's like a lot of cap. Oh my God. So I'll be capping. Anyway, guys, as you can see, I'm excited about the new changes in life, the new changes in the software, and I hope I can, enlighten you guys a little bit more with some beautiful renders and some great tutorials. Yes, yes, yes. I am coming out with a course. Here's my dilemma. Everybody's doing a darn course. We got so many people in the sphere of Clo 3D and 3D software tutorials and 3D software courses. I just want to make the best course for you. So my course is going to be centered a little bit more around working in 3D, and not really just creating patterns, or what is it like to actually work in a 3D environment, and how can you maximize your potential in 3D in the workforce, or in your own collection, or just in the fashion industry in general. So the courses that I make will not only be tutorials, they will also be about how to create your own workflow, how to create your own aesthetics, how to build a portfolio that you would want to show to someone. So guys, June is the time. You're hearing it first here. I am giving myself until June to put this information out. It's very close, and it's not only going to be for Clo 3D, it's going to be for Style 3D as well. So you guys will get the most out of it. I am still contemplating doing it for Browseware, but if you guys want that, leave a comment in, I'm serious, leave a comment. If you want me to do Browseware tutorials or courses, leave it in the comments. I still have the choice to do it, but I'm not sure if you guys want that or not. So please leave it in the comments. All right, so here's a little bit of me just giving a knit trim. I'm giving just a little bit of what you would see, like a linking or just a change in the actual rib knit. in the actual stitching because I want to try different stitching on one sweater. So I am just trying to give myself just options to go ahead and try it. So now I see how I hate that sleeve, and I'll probably take it down. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm just going to take it out at the shoulder. So here's the thing. I am making this in mistake number 1. I'm making a knit garment in a default fabric. Just don't do it. There's no reason to not start from where you need to be. So you're going to see me, I'm not going to change it, but you're going to see the fitting opportunities, that's what we like to call it. You're going to see the fit opportunities when doing something in a default fabric. You really need to start with a knit fabric and basically drape your whole garment in knit. Doesn't matter how the particle distance looks good and all that. It's not going to really fit the way you want to. So I have a little note here that says this is not how our sweater pattern is supposed to look, but we will get into it. So now I have applied the beautiful sweater knit feature, the fabric feature. It's actually in the drop down in your material file. So where you see knitwear, there's a drop down there, and then you can go ahead and choose the different stitching. So right here, I'm going to go change it again to knitwear, but I'm going to choose a different stitch. So now you see here where it says the stitching, you have a whole list of different types of stitching. At the end, I go through each one so you can see what it looks like. But here I'm just like, okay, so this is like a, they call it a stock, I think it's stockette. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but you guys know me. I will leave it there in the, on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But if you have this version uploaded, and I do suggest there are a lot of different updates in this version, and also there's a lot of different feeling, and I think like I said, the UI is just beautiful, and there's not too much of change, but all the icons are different. It just gives a different vibe. It is giving a different vibe and a different feeling. So I do like it. I'm going to rename my fabric so I know where I'm talking about my 2x2 rib and where I am talking about my stockinette. Yeah, okay, the vocabulary. Okay, true story. I did look it up. And I know that there's another name for it, so I'm going to put that name up on the screen. It's like a full, I think it's like a full knit or a full, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but I'm going to put it up on the screen right here. And then you guys will know exactly what I mean, why I don't like to say that word. We Americans, if we don't like words, we just invent new ones for them. So I'm going to put that up. Here is the thing. Now I've added my rib to the bottom. I've added my rib to the middle. And I've kept the stockette for the rest of the body. But then I put the little skirt in like a honeycomb thing. And I put some ribs I'm going to put some rib at the shoulder. So you see sometimes sweaters that have like a little epaulet type of insert that gives you the opportunity to have another type of stitching holding the actual sweater together, seam to seam. Sometimes it's used because it's a little bit more easier to link in the machine. But we will talk about the look of the linking. So right now, what I don't know, and I will come back to it, what I don't know right now is that my shoulder inserts are not the same size. Oh my God. So that's why the stitch is not parallel to each other at the shoulder, but I do figure that out later on. You guys know that I am really like just trying it out. There's no tutorial that's out. There's a little bit of an instruction manual. Like I said, guys, go on the site and like read the instructions. Don't wait for us to put out tutorials. You can go ahead and try it yourself. But shout out to everybody who's already made a tutorial about the knit or just showcasing it, because it is a lot of fun. Coming from a Shimaseki background, I do know that this is something that can grow. Like you only have a very few knit selections to choose from. Right now I don't see anything about a cable. You know, hopefully they'll add like a cable that you can kind of like, you know, do, or some other kind of way that you can get more out of your knit features. I'm sure we're going to get into it, and some people are going to discover just how much you can do with this thing. So The thing about it is that the edge, if you look at the top of the neck, the edge is like little loops, right? So you have an option to have a seam where it would be closed, and then you have an option to have a linking loop. So in my journey making this sweater, I start to really get like annoyed at the back of the neck and how those loops are, you know, not parallel. So here I don't realize that if you're going to have two pieces meeting up together and you're going to use a rib, that the edges that meet have to be exactly the same size. Later on in the video, you're going to see that they are not the same size, but when I do make them the same size, it meets up perfectly. So trial and error, guys. I suggest you turn off all the materials and everything, or hide the avatar, because it seems like the sweater function is taking up a lot of space on the computer. But it could also be because I'm filming and because I like to listen to music at the same time. You guys know me already. I'm always pushing my computer to the max. But here now we have to talk about the color. So what they've simulated here is the ability to have different color twisted type of yarns. Now, like I said, coming from a different software that makes sweaters, you see the beauty in this, but you also know that it can go to the next level. Like some of these yarns are so sophisticated in the you know, sweater industry and the knit industry. The twisting of the yarns can be very sophisticated and very intricate and detailed in width. Like you can have a piece of yarn that is not even like the same width consistency. So right now we're seeing like a lot of consistency, which is great. But if you want something like a marled yarn or something with like some slubs to it, then like I said, this is something that they can grow into. But it does look good, and it is fast, and it is, you know, pretty capable with the type of simplistic knits that you can make to go with your garments. So you have an option to like really spice it up and really, you know, like use some pop colors, and they've given you the normals that go with the actual knit that you select. So you have a normal there, and you also have the ability to shrink. So this is another thing. So shrinking your fabric when you're using knit, you want to be able to shrink your rib so that it can kind of cinch in a little bit. And you want to be able to shrink certain areas of the garment that will naturally have shrinkage due to the type of yarn that they have, or due to the type of you know, applications. Like sometimes there's like a lot of steaming and cinching, and there's a lot that goes into sweaters. One thing after I did this little render view here that I realized what was missing, guys, and I hope that they add it. There's no way to add those little fine hairs that are often on a sweater or on the pill of the sweater where it makes it look really soft. So this is probably something that they're going to come out with and grow with. But I start to notice here that I don't like the way the default fabric is making little creases and breaks in places that I don't want it to. So that's why I say start with the knit. Please start with the knit so that it will conform the way that you want it to conform. So in my adventure, I decided not to change it. So you're going to see me check out the fabric, and like I had an idea to change it, but I did not. So I did do a little bit of, you know, maneuvering, and then I wanted to check the fit, like to see exactly what was happening. And I'll show you that in 1 second because it just seems so tight. So I said, well, maybe it's because, you know, her arms are all the way sticking out. Let's give her a different pose and see if it relaxes a little bit. But as you can see, I had to make it a little bit bigger because it's just too tight. There's too much red around her shoulders and her arms. And that's because, yes, I'm using the default fabric and it's not stretching enough. But in the visual, it looks how a sweater is supposed to look, but it's not there because there's not enough sleeve width. It's actually the muscle that is the problem here. And the shoulder width, there's not enough chest in the shoulder. I need to like beef it up a little bit. So you'll see, I'll just get rid of some of the the redness here, and then I move on because this tutorial is not about fitting. But for me, I always seem to somehow get into fitting. I don't know, like maybe I'm a technical designer by trade, and I always like to look at those things. But let's get out of here and let's talk about the sweater functionality that we have going on here. So yes, I would love to see some of those little hairs. Some different types of coloration of the yarn would be really nice. And like there's some people that just do it as you know, specialist. You know, I want to say like Shimaseki is just a specialist at creating these things, and they have the machine work behind it. And you know, so you can do a lot here, but I think, you know, it's going to grow. So we're going to see what I do to fix some of these issues so you can fix them with me. I'm going to open up that sweater again because, of course, I took a break. This is the next day. But here's the thing, guys. It looks cute, right? Well, this trim should not have any curves on it. So you can make your actual pieces, curved pieces and shaped pieces, but when you're doing knit, your pieces that are at the edges need to be straight, because those are pieces that will link to other pieces, and you'll see that if they're not straight. Okay, wait. Here's something, that last one is what I should have chose. So on all of these, when I change the actual knit structure, I don't pick the last one. And that's a mistake. So you're going to see when it's time for me to change the color that the last option is the option that I should have gone with. And when I was doing this and I was changing the knit structure and adding pieces and changing pieces and deleting pieces, since I have a colorway in place, you should do all of this before you do colorways. But since I have a colorway in place, it's asking me, do I want to apply this to all the colorways? And then I'm like, I don't know which one to choose. So I read it and it sounded like the best one, but when I got to the colorway editor, it was not. So yeah, so we are now going to make these pieces straight, and then I'm going to show you a little trick that, yeah, you do want to use seam when you're doing the knit. Like there's an option like to make it with seam or without. There's like a little checkbox. I'm going to see if I see the checkbox and I'll show it to you guys. But I also thought it through. And if you add another piece, right, which I'm going to do now, I'm going to add another piece at the edge. You can make it like a cast off type of fabric piece. I say fabric piece, but it's really like a knit piece, right? So I just add 1/4 of an inch, no, 1/16 of an inch to the edge, and then I make it the full fashion, not full fashion, I make it the regular knit type. So as you can see, it sort of pulls in, it sort of finishes it, right? So now that I have this look, I want to go ahead and do that to all of the ribs. I do it to the sleeves, I do it to the neck, I don't do it to the hem because the hem is already this stitch. So wherever there's a 2x2 rib, I just add this little piece. Now that's something you can do if you don't like the way it looks with the seam finish. And when I say seam finish, see how nice and neat that looks at the edge? It looks almost like it's a rolled knit hem. So that's the look I was going for with the sweater. So you can see it a little bit better when I turn off the model's color, that the edge just looks more finished. So that's something. So you have to keep these pieces straight at your edge. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the hem, because if you look closely, the hem is actually the knit pieces going on a bias. That should not be like that. So where it says a seam, let me see if I can see. Oh, show, let me see. I'm looking at the side to see where it says seam. I'm going to highlight it for you guys. But yeah, so I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the neckline and just going to sew a straight piece on. And we're going to talk about the rest. Then we're going to get into the colorway. So I'm going to speed this up just a bit. And if I see that seam option, I'm just going to flash it in red so you guys can see it. So now I'm just following up with everything, trying to make sure that these things match magically. It looks a lot better since I got them to be a little bit closer, but it still seems like it's just a hair off. So that's something I'm going to be looking into when it comes to meeting two things together. Not sure how that's supposed to really jump off, but let's see. It might have to do with the grain line, but I'm just going to add that little looping effect at the edges, and it's really just a 1/16 of an inch, and that's that. So again, just to make it more visible, and it looks good, guys. I don't know about you, but I like it. But it is almost so simplistic that I'm not sure, it looks good. That's all. So I digress because I am biased. I am going to be trying out some other knit integrations with Clo 3D. Of course, we know that they work with browseware as well, but you see that little generate seams, there it is at the bottom. When you are making a new knit, you can kind of toggle that on and off at the bottom. So now you're going to see all of the different types of rib. Just pay attention to the center of the screen, and you'll see all the options that they have. Like I said, it's a start. I don't see any cable. Like I would like to see a cable that you can spread out and make bigger with the gauge, and maybe one of those diamond shapes, something that is a little bit more familiar in the knitwear market. I will tell you the coloring system is really good. And you can also, like I said, just this, like any piece, I'm going to change this middle piece. Let me add another fabric, and then I'm going to change this middle piece to elastic. And we're going to see that you can actually see that it shrinks in, right? So sometimes you might want to go ahead and make a piece the same length. Right now it doesn't make sense because I made it smaller, but you can actually make it the same length, and then you can add your own shrink value with the elastic tool. So it's kind of intuitive that way, but if you don't do it on both, and then if it's not the correct length, the shrinkage is not going to make sense. So right now I already put the shrinkage in my head and made the piece smaller, but you can actually add it as an elastic, and then you can go ahead and keep your shrinkage value the same. Like I said, the knit will react to whatever fabrication that you put it in. So if you want something long and heavy and slinky, you could use a ponte, or you could use a silk knit type of fabric, but it's all your choice right now because there are no physical properties. So there are no physical properties to go along with the knit. You still have to use your fabric properties. So guys, this is it. I'm going to snap now to the coloring because this is just like frivolous stuff I'm trying out. So I'm going to speed this up, and then I'm going to snap now to the creating the colorways. Like I said, if I did not select the last item on the menu when it asks you if you want to apply all of this to colorways, this is what I got. So every pattern piece and every fabrication that I changed, it made a new fabrication, and it did not apply it to the colorways. So now I'm going to go ahead and just, without thinking, I was like, okay, let me just change the colors back for each piece. But that's kind of dumb. There's only 2 colorways. So I digress, and I go ahead and just delete one, and then just start from scratch with one colorway and then add the other colorways. So I'm going to skip to that part. So starting from scratch, I can see that there are some pattern pieces that don't have the same knit, and that's just for me experimenting. So I'm just going to go through and make sure that I only have the few key fabrics that I need, and then we'll skip to the colorways. All right, so what's cool about this is you can go ahead and play with the different yarn color variations. I'm not sure if you know, but at the top of the list of all of your fabrics, you can go ahead and just highlight that top selection where it says none in the picture. That is at the top of the screen. If you click on that, you can change all of your fabrics to the same color, same fabric type. Whatever changes you make is going to apply to everything. So since I just have the yarn, there's no other trims or anything on here. I'm just using that feature to go ahead and change all of the different colorways and, you know, get some cute spring colorways. And I'm going to put this up on my Instagram later on today after this is finished. And that's it. So guys, I hope you really do appreciate the fact that I'm back doing some tutorials and doing some speed, I guess, what do you call that? High speed workflows, whatever. It's not really a tutorial. It's just like music and showing how I work. But please don't mistake that for a tutorial. Please don't mistake the fact that I'm just showing you different ways to work in the system, that it is 100% the way you should do it. You should try to find your own workflow, try to find your own tools, your own, you know, people that you follow that do different things. Maybe people do different things differently from other people who are having tutorials on. There are a lot of great people doing tutorials. So shout out to everybody that's doing tutorials in this space. But you do your own work. You find your own workflow and don't try to copy anybody else's workflow thinking that it's supposed to be for you. The software is so flexible right now and there's so much happening in the space of 3D period that you're able to navigate through and find your own way to learn, find your own way to grow. And that's it, guys. Stay blessed.